My name is Claire Bennett, and the happiest day of my life lasted exactly 23 minutes before it turned into the day my marriage ended. When I saw my father walking across the marble lobby, carrying a cardboard box with his suit jacket folded over one arm, I thought he was helping one of the staff members. He had always been the kind of man who noticed when someone needed an extra pair of hands. Then I realized the security guard walking beside him wasn't thanking him. He was escorting him out. My husband stood near the ballroom entrance with his arms crossed, refusing to meet my father's eyes. That was the moment I understood something was terribly wrong. The wedding guests were laughing inside the reception hall. Crystal glasses clinked together. Music drifted through the open doors. Nobody noticed that the bride had frozen in the hallway, staring at the two men she loved most as they stood on opposite sides of a decision that would change every life in that room. I lifted the train of my dress and hurried toward them. "Dad?" He smiled the same calm smile he had worn my entire life whenever he didn't want me to worry. "It's all right, sweetheart." It wasn't all right. The security guard shifted awkwardly before speaking. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I was instructed that this gentleman isn't permitted inside the reception." I turned toward my husband. "What is he talking about?" Daniel sighed as though I were asking why the sky was blue. I asked them to remove him. The words didn't make sense. "You... what?" He was embarrassing us. My father immediately tried to interrupt. "Claire, let it go." But I wasn't listening anymore. Daniel straightened the cuff of his expensive tuxedo and lowered his voice. "Your dad has been walking around talking to the maintenance crew. He was giving them advice about the lighting and asking questions about the building. My family thinks he looks like he works here." I stared at him in disbelief. "He was talking to them because he loves architecture." Daniel shrugged. "My mother said guests were starting to assume he was part of the staff. We can't have that during the reception." For a few seconds, I honestly thought he was joking. Then I looked toward the ballroom. His mother was standing beside the head table, watching us with a satisfied smile. She raised her champagne glass slightly, almost like a silent celebration. Something inside me cracked. My father had spent 40 years building things with his own hands. He never cared whether people admired him. He cared that every building he created was safe, beautiful, and built to last. He had taught me that respect wasn't measured by job titles or designer clothes. Yet here stood the man I had just married, throwing him out because he thought honest work looked embarrassing. I reached for my father's hand. "I'm so sorry." He squeezed mine gently. "You've got nothing to apologize for." Then he looked at Daniel. "I hope one day you understand that character is worth more than appearances." Daniel laughed quietly. "I think we'll be just fine." My father simply nodded. "Maybe." He turned to leave without another word. As he reached the front entrance, the general manager of the estate came rushing across the lobby, looking unusually alarmed. "Mr. Bennett," he called. My father stopped. The manager hurried over, glanced nervously between Daniel and me, and asked a question that made the entire lobby fall silent. "Sir, why are you leaving your own venue?" The question hung in the air like a crack of thunder. Daniel frowned. "His what?" The general manager looked genuinely confused. "Mr. Bennett owns this estate." For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then Daniel laughed. "That's impossible." The manager didn't laugh back. "It isn't." He turned respectfully toward my father. "Sir, if there's been some misunderstanding, we'll fix it immediately." My father sighed, almost reluctantly. "There has been a misunderstanding." He glanced at me first, then at Daniel. but not on your staff's part. Daniel's confidence began to fade. He looked from the manager to my father, as if waiting for someone to admit it was an elaborate joke. Instead, the manager continued. Mr. Bennett purchased the property 9 years ago through Bennett Hospitality Group. He personally oversaw the restoration of the ballroom after the fire damage. Nearly every major renovation here has his approval. Daniel's face lost all color. His mother, Victoria, appeared in the doorway just in time to hear the last sentence. "What is going on?" she demanded. The manager answered before anyone else could. "There seems to have been an unfortunate incident involving the owner of the estate." Victoria blinked. "The owner?" She looked directly at my father. Then she laughed dismissively. "That can't be right." My father never raised his voice. "It is." She folded her arms. "If you own this place, why have you spent years pretending to be some ordinary contractor?"
"I never pretended. You drive an old pickup truck. It runs perfectly. You wear work boots. I like work boots. You fix things yourself. I enjoy fixing things." Every answer only seemed to frustrate her more. She had spent years assuming simplicity meant failure. She had never considered that genuine wealth often has nothing to prove. Daniel stepped closer. "Claire, did you know?" I looked at him in disbelief. "No." My father smiled gently. "I never discussed my investments because they weren't important." "They're important now," Daniel whispered. Dad shook his head. "No. What's important is how quickly you decided my worth based on appearances." The silence became unbearable. Inside the ballroom, guests had begun gathering near the entrance, sensing something significant was happening. Whispers spread through the crowd. Victoria suddenly changed her tone. "This has all been one big misunderstanding." "No," I answered quietly. "It wasn't." She looked at me. "We simply wanted everything to look elegant. You wanted my father removed because you thought he made your family look superior." Her expression hardened again. "Claire, don't exaggerate. I heard everything." Daniel reached for my hand. "Please, let's go back inside." I stepped away before he could touch me. "For 3 years, I believed kindness mattered to you." "It does." "No."
I looked him straight in the eyes. "It mattered only when it was convenient." My father placed a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to do this here." "Yes," I replied softly. "I think I do." The ballroom doors remained open. More than 100 guests were now watching. The music had stopped. Even the catering staff had paused. The reception everyone had been waiting for had turned into something entirely different. I slowly walked back into the ballroom. Every conversation died the moment I entered. The master of ceremonies smiled uncertainly. "And here comes our beautiful bride." I gently took the microphone from his hand. No one tried to stop me. I looked around the magnificent room. The chandeliers sparkled above us. The flowers were perfect. Every detail had been planned for months. I had imagined laughter, dancing, and memories that would last a lifetime. Instead, I found myself looking at strangers who deserved to know exactly what kind of celebration they had been invited to. I took a slow breath. "Before dinner begins," I said, my voice echoing through the silent ballroom, "there's something everyone should know." Behind me, I heard hurried footsteps. Daniel, Victoria, my father, the general manager. They all entered together. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. For the first time that entire day, I wasn't afraid of making people uncomfortable. I was afraid of staying silent. And that fear had finally become much smaller than the truth.
stood there with the same dignity he had always carried. That hurt more than anything. My father spent his life teaching me that respect isn't something you demand, I said. It's something you give first. I smiled sadly. And today, he proved that lesson again. The general manager stepped forward. "If I may," he said carefully. Everyone looked toward him. "I've worked with Mr. Bennett for nearly a decade. He knows the names of our maintenance staff, our kitchen employees, our gardeners, and our security team. Every holiday, he personally thanks them for their work. That's why he was speaking with the maintenance crew earlier." Several employees quietly nodded. "He wasn't pretending to belong," the manager continued. "He has always treated everyone here like they matter." The silence became almost painful. Daniel lowered his head. I didn't know. My father's answer was immediate. He never asked. There was no anger in his voice, only disappointment. Somehow that was worse. Victoria tried one last time to regain control. "Fine," she said sharply. "Perhaps we judged too quickly. Let's apologize and move on." I looked directly at her. "Move on?" She folded her arms. "Yes, don't throw away your marriage over one unfortunate incident." I couldn't help but smile. This wasn't one incident. I looked around the room again. For 3 years, I watched little comments that I convinced myself didn't matter. Jokes about ordinary people, criticism of honest work, constant reminders about status and appearances. Every time I ignored it because I believed love would overcome arrogance. I paused. I was wrong. Daniel took another cautious step toward me. "I love you. I think you love the version of me your family approved of." His eyes filled with regret. "I can change. Maybe." I nodded honestly. "I hope you do." Then I glanced toward my father.
I looked across the room at the faces that had smiled through the ceremony only minutes earlier. Friends, relatives, coworkers, and neighbors watched with growing confusion. Some still held champagne flutes halfway to their lips. Others glanced nervously toward Daniel, expecting him to interrupt me before I could speak. He didn't. He couldn't. His confidence had disappeared the moment he realized the man he had dismissed wasn't simply my father. He was the owner of the very estate where we stood. "I know everyone came here expecting to celebrate a marriage," I began. So did I. But a marriage built on respect cannot survive without respect. The room remained perfectly silent. My father was escorted out of this reception because someone decided he didn't look important enough to belong here. A wave of whispers rolled through the guests. I continued before anyone could interrupt. My husband believed appearances mattered more than character. Instead of asking questions, instead of showing basic kindness, he chose humiliation. Daniel finally stepped forward. "Claire, please, we can talk about this privately." I shook my head. We had that opportunity in the hallway. He looked genuinely desperate now. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice." Those 5 words landed harder than anything else I had said. Victoria crossed the ballroom with forced confidence. "Everyone," she announced, forcing an uncomfortable smile. "This is simply an emotional misunderstanding. Weddings are stressful." "No," I replied calmly. "A misunderstanding is confusing 2 reservation cards. This was deliberate." Several guests exchanged uneasy looks. I turned toward the head table. Those seats were rearranged because my father didn't fit the image certain people wanted in their wedding photographs. Victoria's smile vanished. "You don't need to air family disagreements." It stopped being a family disagreement the moment my family was publicly humiliated. One of Daniel's uncles quietly set down his wine glass.
Another guest looked toward my father with visible embarrassment. The atmosphere had completely changed. No one cared about dinner anymore. They wanted the truth. I looked at my father standing quietly near the entrance. He hadn't demanded attention. He hadn't defended himself. He hadn't even complained. He simply stood there.
Then I glanced toward my father. But I won't stay long enough to find out. The room was so quiet that the soft music still playing through the speakers sounded strangely distant. I removed my wedding ring. For several seconds, I simply held it in my hand. It suddenly felt much heavier than gold should. I walked over to Daniel. He looked hopeful. Instead, I placed the ring in his palm. I'm choosing the people who never once made me earn their love. His fingers slowly closed around the ring. No one said a word. No one applauded. No one cheered. Because everyone understood they weren't watching a dramatic performance. They were watching a marriage end before the reception had even begun. As I turned away, my father gently opened the ballroom doors and quietly asked me one simple question. Are you ready to go home? As we walked toward the exit, I expected my father to unlock the front doors, climb into his old pickup truck, and quietly leave everything behind. Instead, he stopped beneath the grand chandelier in the lobby and asked the general manager to invite every guest into the courtyard for 5 minutes before anyone departed. The request puzzled everyone, but because the staff respected him, they moved quickly. Within minutes, more than 100 guests gathered outside beneath strings of warm lights overlooking the gardens. The evening air was cool, and the celebration that had begun with excitement now carried an uneasy silence. My father stepped onto the stone terrace without a microphone. He never liked speeches, and he certainly never sought attention. He looked around at the guests with the calm expression I had known my entire life. I appreciate all of you coming tonight, he began. Many of you have known me only for the last hour. Some of you believed I was a maintenance worker. Others believed I was simply the bride's father. Neither description offended me, because I've proudly been both at different points in my life. A few quiet smiles appeared among the guests.
I grew up with very little. I learned construction because it was honest work. Decades later, after years of saving and investing carefully, I was fortunate enough to purchase this estate when it was abandoned and falling apart. But I made one promise to myself the day I signed the papers. I would never allow owning this place to become my identity. He looked toward the ballroom behind us. Buildings don't reveal character. People do. The courtyard fell silent again. Then he revealed something that surprised even me. When Claire and Daniel became engaged, I transferred ownership of this estate into a family trust. I looked at him in confusion. He smiled gently. I planned to tell you after the honeymoon. My heart skipped a beat. The trust names only one future beneficiary. Every eye turned toward me. You, Claire. A ripple of surprise spread through the crowd. I wanted you to have a place where families could celebrate life's happiest moments. I believed you and Daniel would one day manage it together. Daniel stared at my father in complete disbelief. You were giving it to us? My father nodded. It was meant to be our wedding gift.
A heavy silence settled over the courtyard. Daniel lowered his head. He finally understood what he had truly lost. Not an estate, not a business, but the trust of a man who had welcomed him like a son. My father continued. Tonight, that gift remains exactly where it belongs, with my daughter. Not because of wealth, but because ownership without integrity means nothing. For the first time all evening,
several guests quietly applauded. It wasn't applause for money. It was applause for principle. Victoria tried to speak, but no words came. She looked around at the guests who had admired her confidence only hours earlier. Now they saw something entirely different. Status had vanished the moment kindness failed. One by one, people approached my parents to apologize. Some admitted they had made assumptions based on appearances. Others thanked my father for reminding them that humility and success often walk together. Daniel slowly walked toward me.
I'm sorry, he said quietly. Not because of the estate, because I finally see the man your father is. I believed he meant it. But understanding arrives too late sometimes. I hope you remember this night, I replied gently. Not as the night you lost a venue, but as the night you learned what respect actually costs. He nodded, unable to argue. I hugged my father, and together we walked through the gardens toward the parking area. The same old pickup truck waited beneath the lights. I smiled. You know, I said, laughing through tears, you could have driven something much fancier. He chuckled. This one still starts every morning. That was my father, a man who never needed expensive things to prove his worth. Months later, the estate reopened under new management.
We introduced scholarships for students pursuing skilled trades, hosted community charity events, and welcomed couples from every background. Above the entrance, a small bronze plaque was installed, with words my father insisted should greet every guest. True elegance begins with respect. Every wedding held there afterward started with that reminder. And every time I walked through those doors, I remembered the day I almost married the wrong man, but instead inherited something far more valuable than a beautiful venue. I inherited the example of a father whose greatest achievement was never owning a grand estate. It was teaching his daughter that dignity is the one possession no one can take away.